Okay, quick recap of Part 6. I obtained Jin Mori, Reimu, Sakuya, Erin, Griffith, Priestess, Goblin Slayer, Leo, and I did also manage to get Monarch on my Jin Mori. And that's it for Part 6. I did mention in the last part that I would be getting Monarch on my Griffith this video, so I'm gonna quickly do that.
And pity. Best ever pity on this account. Oh my god, okay.
I will also be gambling on my Goblin Slayer too, as man is actually insane when it comes to killing bosses. And fortune, which is actually pretty good, as he does already get a discount per placement due to his passive. So now he's even cheaper. Like I said before, gotta make every cent count. Anyhow, now that I do have a Monarch Griffith, I should now be able to solo pretty much everything. So let's start with Baiken, which does mean I gotta complete Shining Castle Act 4 to obtain her drink, her questline. Now, with the bottle obtained, I can finally start working towards completing her quest line. So first thing I gotta do is kill all the Guilty Gear bosses, which is very straightforward. And now with that mission done, I do now finally have Baiken. Now I just gotta complete the rest of the quest line to evolve her. So next thing on the agenda is 10 ranked PvP wins, which shouldn't be too hard, as there are, in fact, children who do play this game. And children aren't exactly known for their intelligence. So I am just gonna skim through the matches. Match 1 was pretty easy. Man had no good units left after the ban phase. And despite having all my good Monarch units banned, they didn't ban my Rimuru, who I've stated before to being on par with mid-high tier Monarchs. And money also isn't an issue in this game mode, as you can spawn enemies that increase your overall economy, which means I now have 0 difficulty defending. And easy first victory. Match 2 was also pretty easy. They banned my Monarchs. I banned their Monarchs. Rimuru carries. And easy sweep. Game 3 was a bit harder. Game thought it would be a funny idea to screw me over by not allowing me to ban units, but I still managed to win. Rimuru and Goblin Slayer being the ones to carry this match. Game 4 was my most challenging game yet. It took me 10 years to actually load this guy's inventory, which led me to losing 2 of my bans. This game I did actually have to defend quite heavily, so that I could actually build up my economy and then just spawn a bunch of beefy enemies, which did lead to my victory. Game 5 was even harder. I was once again screwed over by my loading time and lost 2 bans. And not only did this guy ban all my Monarchs, monarchs. He also banned my Rimuru. So this game, I did go for a more burn-orientated team, and pretty much did the same thing I did in Game 4. I invested my early game into defense, then built up my economy, and then rushed my opponent with buffed enemies. They too were also trying to rush me with buffed enemies, but I did come out on top in the end. Game 6 was a bit more tame. Neither of us had monarchs, but I did still have Rimuru, and surprisingly, I did actually use my brain for once. Instead of spawning enemies the second I can afford them, I instead waited until it was a boss wave, and just had my spawned enemies tank for the boss, which did get me the win. Game 7 was quite interesting. Man let me keep both my Griffith and my Jin Mori, and he even banned my Goku, and then he just left. Game 8 was a breath of fresh air. Man had no good units left after the bans, so no contest. Game 9 was by far the longest, and I was up against Dexter Morgan, who had 9 monarchs. My first 5 bans were pretty good until I randomly decided to ban Aizen when Monarch Jin Mori was literally right there. I did still have Rimuru and Goblin Slayer, however, so not all is lost. Same strategy as before. Defend, economy, rush. Somehow I did actually manage to win this match. Man literally sent me 0 buffed spawned enemies. And finally Game 10. Once again, no monarchs. Rimuru carries, and another win. Second mission finally done. My win/lose ratio was 12-2. Technically, it should have been 10-0, as literally the 4 other games were the ones where the opponent never even joined, which somehow gave me 2 wins and 2 losses. And the 2 wins didn't even count towards my quest, molding aside. The final mission I do gotta complete for this quest line is 10 more completions of Shining Castle Act 4. Alright, so it is now update 8.5, which does mean a new world line. This one dropping Stark as its floor 50 unit. And he is quite literally the only unit I can get this update, so quite unfortunate. Okay, and the only things left to do in this update are events that give rerolls. So I'm gonna quickly do the Elemental Confluence one, as it does give a ton of rerolls. So let's start with Blast. Here's my modifiers. Now for Cosmic. Next is Curse. fire. Holy. Nature. Passion. Spark. Unbound. Water. Barely got enough points to earn the Umamusum banner. Pretty cool banner. And now I can purchase 240 re-rolls. Might as well do some re-rolls now. Any of these three will do. Apparently, Deadeye is the most ideal trait for Stark, as it does allow his wolves to crit, which is big since the wolves do spawn even when out of range, so consistent damage throughout the whole match. Anyways, there was once again another update, this one adding another familiar event. For a unit I actually have for once, Gilgamesh, so this is gonna take me at least 5 days to obtain. So in the meantime, I am actually gonna do some rifts, specifically the Dandadan one, as it is quite literally the only unit left I can grind for, so should be pretty easy with my Monarch Griffith. Ain't no way my first shiny is on this guy. The shiny ain't even look that good. Anyways, let's evolve him. And I am also gonna claim my Vanguard familiar for Gilgamesh, as it has been more than 5 days. So Gilgamesh with the familiar does bring him back into the meta, just not as a top tier. With the familiar, he can now slow and stun enemies, and his nuke also gets a single target follow-up attack. So not only is Man now a support, Man is also a great boss killer, so he will 100% be replacing my slow unit. Anyways, there are no units currently left for me to obtain, so I am gonna wrap this video up. Here's proof I haven't summoned.